All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stories from a Mountain Town. I'm your host Tyler Meany, and we're back from a little bit of a summer break. And today with me, I have the one and only Ryan Kurtz. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, in addition to us just being friends, I wanted to get you on because of your recent little bike excursion that you did, little bike ride you took for around the country. Tell them a little bit about like what it's called and what you did.
So it's called the Tour Divide. It follows the Great Divide mountain bike touring route from usually Banff, Canada to the Mexican border in Antelope Wells, New Mexico. This year it was just from Eureka, Montana, the top of Montana, from border to border, Canadian border to Mexican border.
Awesome. So, and hold the mic a little bit more in front of you. Yeah, there you go. And how many miles was that?
It's 2,500.
2,500 miles.
Yep.
So I drove Ryan up to Missoula like the week of when he was going to start so he could get a little bit closer, and then we camped and then we drove back. But I was asking him all these questions and learning about what's going on, and I was thinking, I don't think I've ridden 2,500 miles in my life on a bike, and you did it in 21 days, right?
Just under 19.
19 days. Oh, 21 was your goal, yeah.
21, was my original goal.
Yeah, awesome. And another question that I asked you back then was, what makes you want to be on a bike? Basically, would you bike 9 hours every single day for just under 19 days?
More than that. It was a lot of times like I haven't really. I would usually sleep from like 5 to 8 hours a night.
Mm-hmm.
8 hours would be a really good night. I don't know if I slept many times 8 hours. So I would be on the bike for around 16 hours a day on average.
Yeah. So what makes you want to do that?
I just really enjoy riding my bike. I think it's a cool way to do the Great Divide route, and kind of racing it.
Yeah.
Adds a little zest to the original bike tour.
Certainly zest, yeah.
So, it's out of pure joy for riding my bike, to be honest.
Yeah. Have you always loved riding bikes this much?
Not really. It kind of got started in like college. I started working for a shop in my sophomore year. I don't even know why they hired me. I had always kind of wanted to like work at a bike shop. I had always interest in it. Yeah. But I had never been like a huge biker, just kind of riding to class and stuff. And they took me in, and after that it was, I bought my first road bike a couple months later maybe. Yeah. And then a mountain bike the next year, and it just blew up from there. I've been working at a shop ever since. Yeah.
You work here at Fitzgerald's Bikes.
I do, yeah.
Shout out to Fitzgerald's.
Yeah, yeah.
They're awesome. The twins that run that, they definitely took care of me when I went in there looking for my bike, and I didn't even end up buying one from them, but one of them helped me with all this research to figure out, like, because of how tall I am, which brands would fit my height and feel good for what I wanted my bike to be, and having the right sized extra large bike, and who had them in town and stuff, and they got me on a giant trance from Wilson Backcountry, another great shop here, and I just absolutely love the bike.
Yeah. Some of the most knowledgeable people about bikes work at that store. It's pretty like humbling to walk in there. They just know every little thing about bikes. Yeah. Which is so amazing.
And every kind, not just mountain or road or whatever. Every kind. Maybe not BMX. Like, I don't know if they know anything about BMX bikes.
Not too much.
There's
we
not
don't
a lot
get
of
a whole
BMXing
lot of
here,
BMX people. I think they usually go to, I think maybe the Hub is a big BMX. One of those other shops are more of a BMX place. But
are there a lot of like the dirt jumper type bikers here? Because the pass has some decent like dirt jumping spots.
Yeah, there are some. We don't see them very much. We actually have we call them our we call them our Groms. We have a couple high schoolers that work and kind of build bikes for us and do like the small jobs, and one of them just got a really cool dirt jumper. So
yeah, cool. I should say we have a couple extra guests with us today. Yeah. So Haley Lundgren's dog Zuma is staying with us for the week while Haley is back in Maine with Nick, and then Bridger, who is in love with Zuma, just had to come in and make sure that she was doing okay in here. So if you hear any panting in the microphones, it's not Ryan or I. It's the dogs. So tell us a little bit about the bike that you rode for your excursion.
Yeah, so I was on a Surly Karate Monkey. It is a steel frame hardtail mountain bike with usually it comes fully rigid, but I put a suspension fork on it because 2,500 miles on a rigid bike didn't seem to appeal to me very much.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I was surprised about the more I learned about this thing. It's a lot of gravel roads and like forest road type terrain, so it makes a lot of sense to have some suspension. And you didn't really have like what were the tires like? I can't remember.
They're 29er by 2.2. They're gravel tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Great Divide Mountain Bike Ride.
Yeah.
But realistically, it should be called the Great Divide Gravel Bike Ride.
Yeah.
Because they say like 400 miles of single track, but a lot of it, like, it's not really single track. Like, some of it's double track, which was like the fun stuff, but still not like your typical mountain bike trail, which is
you're not doing parallel.
No. There was only like one spot. There was only like probably one downhill that I was like, ooh, that's pretty rocky.
Yeah.
But the nice part about having the bike that I did, because a lot of people ride basically gravel bikes. Our third guest,
Maverick, just walked in to see how it's going in here. He's very happy to see us.
Yeah, a lot of people ride fully rigid drop bar gravel bikes. And I went the mountain bike route because I have a lot more fun on it.
Is that like a speed versus comfort kind of a difference?
Pretty much. It definitely different, like, positioning of the way you pedal, and but a lot of people do drop bars because of the comfort of the handlebars.
Yeah.
Drop or mountain bike handlebars are typically pretty rough for touring just because there's like one position.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of deal with that and get special bars that were bent in a way that kind of angled back.
And did you have what do they call them? Speed bars, or what are the ones?
Aero bars.
Aero bars that go off the front.
Yeah, pretty much everyone has those regardless of what bike you have.
Yeah.
You had to set them up in more of like a comfortable way more than like they're typically used as like aerodynamic, super slammed, like really fast positioning, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But on this bike you have to set them up so they're really comfortable, so I could, as long as the terrain was somewhat smooth, I'd be sitting just in the aero bars and super comfortable. I got like super used to it.
Yeah, awesome. And then you had a whole bunch of different like saddlebag, little bag setups around the bike. Talk a little bit about what you packed for the trip.
So I was on the light side of packing, but I had basically one pair of shorts that I wore the whole time, one shirt.
Burn those after.
I actually did. Well, not the shirt. It was a nice shirt. And the one pair of chamois, just like the mountain bike liners.
Yeah.
And then a couple of pairs of like merino wool underwear.
Yeah.
And I'd sometimes swap between those two, but mostly I wear the chamois.
Would you like dip them in like a river if you were sitting by one?
Every chance I could.
Yeah.
Going back, I would definitely bring two so that I could like wash one and dry it during the day and wear the other pair.
Yeah.
But I ran out of time and I couldn't find any in stock.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I was like, whatever. Like I'll switch between the merino wool, which has no padding. And the first couple days that was fine, but I quickly was like, I can't really go without the pads, so I had to just wear it. And it actually turned out to be mostly fine. But yeah, those were thrown in the trash immediately.
Did you get like that soreness that you get
Oh, yeah.
when you're kind of fresh on biking for the year? Did you get that even though you're an avid biker outside of that too?
Yeah, they're called saddle sores.
Saddle sores,
it's basically like a skin infection.
Yeah.
And I rode basically kind of like it's a race, and there's like kind of ish strict rules.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of supposed to ride by yourself and you can't take any help from anyone. That's not given to anyone else. So I can stop at a gas station, I can stop at a hotel, but like family can't bring me food, or friends can't bring me food unless they want to give it to everyone else.
Do people do that where they're like, I'm bringing the whole race?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Stuff.
There's like a huge community. They're called dot stalkers.
Stalkers.
So I don't know if you saw, Haley tracked me, but you can track it.
Yeah.
There's the tracking on the web. And
yeah, remember I gave I shuttled
yeah.
some guys that worked, I think at Fitzgerald's, and they were like watching you. I was like, they were like, yeah, we work at Fitzgerald's, and I was like, oh, my buddy Ryan's doing the Tour Divide right now. I just brought him up there, and they're like, oh, no way, we were just tracking him, we were just watching him.
Yeah.
And they
it's funny because like I never realized how like as soon as my dot was on that website, I was like famous.
Really?
It was mind blowing. I mean, there's a lot of like the dot stalker, the normal ones that would like hang out. I think there was one in Idaho who goes and camps for a month at the end of it's called the rail trail. I'm sure you've probably been near it. And then hands out cookies and greets you as you roll in. There's like a trail, and then it's like a camp, like a big campsite. And I kind of rolled through, and I heard this guy be like, Ryan, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, what's up? Like, how are you doing? How's your ride? All this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that was like not the first person that had done that. I walked in Rawlins, Wyoming. I was walking out of McDonald's, and someone walked up to me and was like, Ryan Kurtz, how's your ride going?
Oh my gosh, dude. That's
like,
so awesome.
Whoa. Like it was like seriously the most famous I feel like I'll ever be. That's so cool. Really, really cool, actually.
Well, this podcast might up that.
Yeah, yeah. Besides the podcast. Well, I mean, and that included like, I don't know that I've ever been asked to be on a podcast besides when I signed up for this race. So it's like,
well, you probably would have came out eventually. I do like a balance of like just my friends who I just want to chat with for a while and learn more about them, and people who like do cool things or whatever that I want to hear about. But you probably would have came out eventually.
True.
Yeah. That's so cool though.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah. How many people do that race every year?
So it's kind of like quote unquote an underground race, or at least it used to be.
Yeah.
There's no like entry fees or end party or anything, so it's very like small. I think this year there was like 100 people at the start.
That's not very many.
It's not a big crowd. And then
beer burps are okay in the mics. Everyone's okay with those. We should say, because we are provided some delicious beer, we are drinking some Snake River beers right now. Ryan has an Earned It Hazy IPA, and I'm doing a what's it called? Yonker?
Something like that.
Zonker, yeah. Nice little stout. I got a cool cup.
That is
showing the camera.
It
says this is the Stark Direwolf logo from Game of Thrones, and then in the back it says, "Leave one wolf alive, and the sheep are never safe."
There you go.
Because I'm the weird wolf kid. But that's awesome. I was just gonna ask you something. Oh, so like months ago, before I even knew about you doing this race, these YouTube videos popped up on my like suggested thing. And it was guys doing this race like last summer, and they just got the videos out in the winter. But they were like going through the middle of Wyoming, and they were stopping in these towns where the towns were like set up for bikers coming through. Like they had like signs saying bikers camp here. They had like a biker section of these little shops and gas stations. They had like plaques and history things talking about past races of those things. And I was like, this is so cool. This is like such a weird niche thing. And these towns, this is the thing for the town, the tiny towns, right?
Yeah. So there's a few of those. Ovando in Montana is one of them. And then the one that they were probably talking about is Atlantic City. That's the one that's in Wyoming. Very, very, very small, like old mining towns that like kind of basically were dying out. And then they saw this opportunity for Tour Divide. And I mean, hundreds and hundreds of riders besides the Tour Divide are riding the GDMBR. And, so Ovando is a really cool one. I'm trying to think of the lady's name. I think it's like Catherine or something. Ovando is a town of like 50 people. And she owns the fly fishing shop there, and there's like a restaurant next to it. And she takes everyone's picture on the Tour Divide. And she's dot stalking. She's watching for you to come in, takes your picture, puts it on bikepacker.com, and like, yeah, she's awesome. And she like breakfast is made, all this stuff. And Atlantic City's kind of like that, not quite as hardcore, but I mean, they thrive off of all these bikers that come in that are starving and are like tossing out bills to get money or to get as much food as possible. And like totally
They're just like calories.
Yeah.
I need calories.
I mean, there's an interview with, if her name is Catherine, we'll just go with that.
Would it be on YouTube?
Probably.
We don't have a young Jamie yet. I don't know if you listen to Joe Rogan, but I'm trying to get Riley to be my young Jamie.
Yeah.
He was busy and he's going to a concert or something at the fair. But
yeah. So look up Ovando Tour Divide, and her name will probably pop up.
Just on Google or on YouTube?
Anything. Google probably works
Is
too.
it
Ovando.
Ovando Tour Divide. Did that Zuma?
Oh my God.
Zuma just
She's
burped.
got beer burps too.
Which one do you think?
That one. Yeah, she's their whole team of the restaurant and her are waiting for you outside.
Yeah. So this title of this video is clicked on. Ovando rolls out the red carpet, the Great Divide mountain bike adventure. So it looks like they got really good. Are these women the?
No. Well, not
frick.
them.
I clicked the wrong button.
I might have to Google it because this is a really long video.
We're not gonna watch this whole video.
This video.
Yeah. Either way, the point being, these towns are like this is the most important day of the year for them, or time of the year for them when people are coming through.
Yeah, I think the interview with her, she was saying like this town was going like down, and this race totally like revamped it and is now like thriving.
And could you kind of just talk generally through your route, the entire route, just so people kind of get an idea of like where the route takes you?
So that's her
Blackfoot
store,
Angler,
and then that's the restaurant that they serve.
This is so Old West looking.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And that's like that. There's that side, and then like there's another side with a couple of shops just like that, and that's it.
Yeah.
But
funny.
anyways, it goes. So the route goes from the top of Montana and Eureka.
There's a map of it.
Yeah. Kind of just goes straight down, and then once you hit Idaho, you go a little bit more southeast.
It's pretty remote. Like it's called the Tour Divide because it's generally on the Great Divide.
Yeah, right. It's on the Continental Divide.
Continental Divide. What did I say?
Crosses it like 20 some or 40 sometimes.
Yeah. And it comes through here. This is what you said was your favorite part of the route. I think you said. Yeah,
from basically the Idaho section was Idaho to the Moran Junction.
Yeah. So you come through. There's like a fairly not very well known route into the valley,
Right.
which is a real road in the summer.
Grassy
but it's,
Lakes.
Yeah, Grassy Lake. Is it Grassy Lakes Pass or what is it called?
It's just Grassy Lakes Road, and then
Road.
it turns into like county road.
It's a dirt road that just comes in just south of Yellowstone, into what I guess is technically, what's that ranch?
Flag Ranch.
Flag,
is
yeah.
Right before you go into Yellowstone.
Yeah, Flag Ranch. So kind of between Grand Teton and Yellowstone, and you come in through there, which is like I didn't even know until you told me that was a route in. I was like, "What is this? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's no route there. There's just full mountains."
Yeah, dirt road that goes straight over.
Yeah,
which is cool.
you come in through here, go through Moran, and then go out Togety Pass.
Yeah,
and then out through.
Yeah.
Did you go through Du Bois?
No, you get pretty close, but then you turn south, just before it, I think.
Yeah.
And go through some more dirt roads.
Yeah.
Down to Pinedale.
And it's basically through the kind of the center, north and south of Colorado, through Silverthorne and Platoro. Is that what that says?
Yeah, I don't know why that's the one named. That's like a tiny little mining town. Actually, very cool to like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
And then down through, is this New Mexico?
Yeah.
The New Mexico, Pie Town, Columbus,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the border this year. But in other years, you go a little bit farther, looks like.
You usually start higher.
Yeah.
That's all. Antelope Wells is always the finish. But
it
you
is,
usually start in Banff.
Yeah.
But we started in Rooseville, which is the like just the border.
Yeah. Yeah, it's major, dude. Border to border on a bike in 19 days. That's a lot.
It was a lot for sure. It was a trip of a lifetime though. I'll never do anything like that again.
Yeah.
Just so much fun.
Was it have you heard of the 3 types of fun?
I have, yeah.
Would you call that type 2 fun?
You know, to be honest, you would think that it's type 2 fun, and I think that most of New Mexico was type 2 fun.
Yeah.
But I had a blast the whole time. I was like, besides like 1 or 2 like hard days, I was like having fun. I was enjoying the moment. Like I thought that it was going to be like that. And you would think riding 130 miles a day would be like that.
Yeah.
But I just really enjoy it. And I had awesome people around me, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you kind of said your favorite section was Idaho to Moran.
Yeah.
And then, so what was your least favorite section?
So, I mean, New Mexico is like, once you hit that border, you can kind of see like, and going 130 miles a day, that means it's about 5 days in each state. Once you hit that border, you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, and physically you feel fine, but mentally you're like, I just want to get to the finish.
Yeah.
So a lot of New Mexico was just kind of just like getting after it, putting the miles in and going to bed. There was one, actually it's Platoro, is the day before or day of Platoro. There was like after it's called Del Norte. There was a big like triple mountain pass that I didn't really see on the map. Like I saw the one, but there was like 2 huge ones right after it, and I did not see it. Like I was not ready for it. And so like I was already struggling up the first one, and then I like looked at my map and I was like, oh shit. And just like suffer fest for pretty much the whole day, and ended in Platoro. In that section from Del Norte to Platoro, there's no restocks, and Platoro is like hardly a restock. It's a very, very like small, basically like an old mining town that just like houses people to go fishing. So there's like some little weird camper vans that you can rent out. And like one cafe, and they all close at 7, and I got there at like, I didn't know what time they closed, but I got there at like 7:20.
Oh no.
And I was like kind of desperate for food because I just got like totally smacked by those passes. And everything was closed. And so I was like, well, I guess I have to stay till morning, which really sucks to stop riding at 7, because that means I had 2 hours of sunlight left. which is kind of like the gauge of what, like how far I ride is when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Is when I usually stopped. And so I was kind of like angry at myself, like for not seeing that coming. But then I had to wait till morning, and they don't open their breakfast till like 8:30 or 9, which again is losing out on like 2 or 3 hours of riding time.
Yeah.
And so I had to wait till morning, and I had to like sleep basically on someone's porch, like one of the hotel that you rent, or the little camper that you rent out. A guy luckily was on his bike as well. He's like, you can sleep right here, because none of them were open to let me buy a camper. And so I had to sleep on his little porch thing, wait till morning. I had to like just like look pitiful outside the cafe, as pitiful as I could, to get some food so I could go.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, how many breakfast burritos you want? And I was like, 3. I want 3. And usually like a breakfast burrito is like a big honkin', like big old thing. And so like 1 to eat, 2 to put in my bags and eat on the, like when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And he brought them out, and they were like the smallest breakfast burritos I've ever seen. Slammed all 3 of them, and was like, I was too scared to ask for more because he already opened early for me. And so I was like, oh shit, I'll just go. And then that next day, I was like, I had no food for the whole day, no restocks. So I had those breakfast burritos, and then I had a bag of trail mix. And so I had to ride a really long way. It's probably like, I think it was like 100 miles to the next place where I could get food. And
That
so
sounds
I was just
terrible.
like in the saddle, just slammed all day, just because I didn't, like, I was nervous that I was gonna like totally bonk and put myself in a bad situation.
Yeah.
So those were like the two of the like rougher days that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
It was a little nerve wracking. It was mostly just nerve wracking. Like I was just stressed the whole day. I was fine, and I never really like bonked or anything, but I was very, very stressed all day. Like if I had a mechanical or if I had a bad headwind, I would have been in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Like it was a pretty bad position.
Yeah. Damn. I guess that kind of speaks to like how much energy our bodies just like store for us, you know, and how your body probably was just like, well, doesn't seem like we're getting anything else. So let's just start eating like the fat that you did have on you. You don't have a lot, but finding it places to burn and find some calories to keep you going. Cause it's
definitely what it seemed like. Cause I was like, I was stressed all day, but I was just like nibbling and like making sure my stomach had something.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it was pretty amazing that I could ride that far and that like for that much time and not really crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So weren't you saying, we were talking like when I was driving you up there and whatever, about how you were going to like stop at fast food joints when you could and just try to get a lot of fast food, just the cheap, easy way to get a lot of calories. Did that go well for you? Outside of this last story?
Yeah. I was really like, from all the research you do, that was one thing that was like, not only is that how you keep fit and like can put in the miles, but also like mentally huge. Yeah. So I was really adamant about that. Besides that little hiccup, about like, I had a pretty good like plan of like every time you get to a cafe or a gas station, basically eating 2 meals or as much as you can. Basically, I would just eat until it like hurt.
Yeah. Like
I couldn't eat anymore, and then pack up a few, like 2 or 3 meals and make sure I had like a day's worth of food on me.
Yeah.
And I seemed to do really good on that, which I was the most nervous about, like making sure I'm fed. And it's like all you think about all day, because like what else are you going to think about? Yeah. Is like where you're going to eat next. So I would kind of place myself like 30 to 50 miles away from the next cafe when I sleep. So that typically that like miles per day would not be a 7th place finish. It would be a lot slow, like more like I don't know, 15th or whatever.
Mhm.
But it was a fairly like there was 2 riders. Actually, one of them, Jay Peterberry, he lives in Victor.
Mm.
He's like he's a big gravel guy. He won, but him and then another guy from Boulder were kind of the big racers this year,
Mhm.
and they were like neck and neck the whole time, and then we were like 3-4 days behind them, and it was kind of my bunch of like the 5 riders. So yeah, typically when I wouldn't have gotten a 7th place finish, but this year I did, which was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you got towards the end, is there like you see a fence or you see a sign, or like what is the ending like?
It is literally the border crossing, like border patrol, straight up, no signs.
Like welcome to
no
Mexico.
nothing. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like and maybe I'll have to show you I don't know if I can dig up the video of me finishing, but it's like my dad and my stepmom came to pick me up. They're like taking a video of me. I roll up to the fence, stop, and then start unpacking my crap. And it's like you kind of want to get out of there, like take your pictures, but then like get out because it's the border.
Yeah.
Like, I ended up being in kind of a tight spot because I had to sleep on the side of the road. Ended up being 50 miles away from the border the night before because my lights went out. I was trying to get to the next. There's like a tiny little town, like not even like 4 structures. But there's a trail angel there who like lets you sleep on his lawn.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get there, and it was like 10:30 at night, and my lights went out, and I'm on this like dead highway to the border.
Yeah.
Border patrol going like up and down.
Yeah.
And I had no option, so I just slept on the side of the road.
Yeah. Dude, what if you get woken up by like border patrol and they were like, nah, he's too pale to be crossing illegally.
Yeah, I'm sure they see I mean they knew who we are because like it's a big finish. Like obviously thousands of people come through here a year, so they know who we are, but I was still like super sketched out.
Yeah.
Like just like sleeping behind basically like a little cactus.
Yeah.
Just like hopefully no one cares.
Yeah.
And
or like even like rattlesnakes and like scorpions, because that's like the desert, right?
Yeah. I was worried about spiders actually.
Spiders,
throughout all of New Mexico, but I didn't see one.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people told me that like tarantulas are just everywhere, and I was like, oof, not my thing.
And when you were out, when you weren't, you stayed some nights like in a hotel or like in some stuff, but when you weren't, you were sleeping in a bivvy sack, right?
Yep.
So explain what a bivvy sack is for those who may not know.
It's basically a sleeping bag, but it's just like a Gore-Tex jacket. So I have my silk like sleeping bag liner first, and then I have my sleeping bag, and then I have the bivvy, and that's just pretty much a little bit extra warmth and water protection. And
it kind of has a little bit of structure like around your head, basically.
Yeah,
yours does.
You can put the little pole in it. I didn't. I ended up just using just like basically like a sleeping bag.
Yeah, it's basically just a sleeping bag
on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, dude, I couldn't imagine sleeping in. How many days did you have to sleep in that?
All but probably like 4.
Nice.
I think I slept in like 3 proper hotels, and then one Brush Mountain Lodge was like had a room and a bed, but it was not like a hotel.
Yeah. How many days after were you sore for?
Took like 2 weeks to get back into things. The saddle sores were definitely an issue.
Yeah.
For the longest. My muscles were like sneaky sore. So like I tried to like get on the bike and like I could go, but I couldn't like sprint. Like I couldn't put down any power. Mm-hmm. Which was like a really weird feeling, but they were like, they didn't feel sore necessarily, but they're they're
just exhausted. They didn't have anything left.
No. Yeah. So it took about like 2 weeks to get back to like somewhat normal, and then I kind of ramped up the training again. So.
Yeah. Did you track it on any sort of watch or anything like that?
Yeah, it's on Strava. My navigation computer.
Yeah.
It tracks it all and then uploads it to Strava, which is like the big cycling
Yeah.
app.
Yeah. Did you get
And
like calories or anything like that? Or like your biometric stuff?
tells you calories. I think I don't remember what it was. I could probably just look it up. I think
Bro,
it was
you're
like,
burning like
I think it was like 4,000 a day.
4,000 a day.
Yeah, but I also
I would expect more.
yeah. So I read a book before I left, and actually, really funny story that I couldn't tell you next. But he did a lot of like he's a PhD at some college,
Mm-hmm.
and he did a study like he did lots of like super intense studies of him racing it.
Mm-hmm.
He placed I think 4th in 2018, and he was doing like 170 180 miles a day, and he was doing all these like studies. So mine says 3,000 calories. That might have been the last day. But anyways, he did, that one says 4,500.
Yeah.
But he did a lot of studies, and he had like basically tracked it on a whole bunch of different apps like this and watches and things.
Mm-hmm.
And then he actually like did the, like he went to a lab and like, I think he like peed in a cup like throughout the whole time,
Uh-huh.
and he could track his actual like calorie loss, and all of these were way high.
Oh, really?
He like, your body adapts to it so much that like you end up not losing that many calories a day because your body is like so intensely adapted to what you're doing.
Yeah. That's one thing that humans are really good at is like long distance travel.
Yeah.
We're really good at adapting to that.
It's like, yeah, it was insane. Like I would get on my bike in the morning and you would think that you would be like tired,
Yeah.
but at no, like very few mornings besides like Montana when I was still getting my legs, like I'd get on the bike and feel fine and just,
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
Have you ever heard of what like the measurement of like calories burned is? Because it's kind of weird, the story of like what we're measuring.
Not really, I guess.
So we'll look this up, but the calories burned is like
It's energy expelled.
or the calories, a calorie, the amount of calories in an item of food is measured by like the amount of time it takes to burn a certain amount of the food in this machine that replicates the human stomach, the human stomach's temperature, I think. Let's look this up because it's like, okay, it takes this long to burn, and then there's, that unit times whatever for the serving size. That's how many calories the thing has. What is a calorie? Let's see if we can find this.
Yeah, it's
Unit of energy, yeah. But I misspoke that. History of a calorie. The amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water from 0 to 1 degree Celsius.
It was something like that.
And 25. Yeah. This is so weird. And then, so how do they take this? The amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water from 0 to 1 degree Celsius. How do they take that and they say like, all right, this beer has this many calories. What does it even have? What does it have it on here?
They don't say
either way.
Beer.
Yeah, it's like
it's definitely
it's so weird. And then now in like, because a lot of us wear watches and these things that measure it, now we're like hyper focused as we have ever been on these calories. Like I don't even really care what my weight is, but I look at my workouts when I'm working out to see how many calories I've burned.
Right. Yeah.
See. It's almost my way of saying like, how hard did I go today?
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. Yeah, but anyways, so the book that I read, it was a really weird like coincidence. The book I read was written by a guy named Ty. I'm spacing out his name. Ty I'll think of it eventually. But riding this Tour Divide, like I said, there's a group of like 7 of us. And we were riding through Montana, kind of like we wouldn't ride together.
Ty Hopkins.
Ty Hopkins, yeah. We weren't like riding together, but we would like sleep in the same spots and eat in the same spots and kind of reconvene like unintentionally.
Yeah.
And so we were sitting in a super small town in Montana eating breakfast and Ty, it ends up being Ty who's in this group with me. And he's like telling this story about this cafe, like, cause he's done the Tour Divide a couple times.
Yeah.
And he was just doing it with his buddy, and he was telling me this story, and I was like, I like literally just stopped and I was like, did you write a book? He's like, yeah. I was like, holy shit, I read that book. Like, that was my favorite one leading up to the race.
Yeah.
It was like the weirdest thing, because like he had mentioned he did in 2018. I was like, I think that guy that wrote that book did it the same year. I wonder if he was in the same group. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking this like the day, like the morning of. I was like, I wonder if he knows that guy.
Yeah.
And then it was him, and I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't even think about it, and it was just
Starstruck.
like, whoa.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was really cool though. I'd never like accidentally met the author of a book I read. So.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I like, and it was kind of weird because he tells a lot of details about his trip. Like, he had GI issues, and
Yeah.
like he tells a lot of the details because he's this like kind of sciencey minded guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew like all about his life, and it was just weird.
To see him in person, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and, like,
so cool.
continue to talk to him, and yeah, it's kind of funny.
Was it weird that somebody you knew that who had done it very like a lot faster was like in your group?
Yeah, it was definitely like and I knew he was doing it with his friend Adam, and he wasn't really racing it. He was just kind of supporting him, and actually he was training for more races.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like, dude, you can go, like, I know you can go way faster than us. And,
Yeah.
And I think he's holding back, and he didn't really have much desire to go faster, but yeah, I was like, this dude's stupid strong.
Yeah. Would you ever do it again?
I think Zuma farted. I think it's what,
Ew, Zuma.
it's horrible.
That's gross.
Zuma.
We ran out of the food that Haley gave us. She's been feeding her our stuff, and she loves it. She eats it really well, but she has been a little bit gassy. Zuma.
I think that if I were to do that route again, I would probably tour it. I would be interested in like more long distance racing, but I don't know if I could race it again.
Yeah.
Just because like there were so many times that like I wanted to stop and like sit at this really cool campsite, or like stay in Steamboat for a while, or like Salida. There were just so many times where I wanted to like stop, but it was midday and I couldn't because I had to keep going. So
Yeah.
I've definitely like thought about Colorado Trail race and stuff like that, but I think if I were to do that one again, I wouldn't be able to race it.
Mm-hmm. Are there many other rides like this or races of this magnitude?
This is kind of like the big one.
Yeah.
There are like in Kazakhstan, like this
Kazakhstan
Silk Road or something.
You don't want to go anywhere with the word "stan" in it.
I actually JP Rivera, he's on his way there now. But
yeah. Respect to all those people, but
yeah. I think this is like probably one of the longer ones.
Yeah.
But there's like the Colorado Trail Race and the Arizona Trail Race, and those are like 5 to 10 dayers, where this is more.
Are there, so as far as like big long through hike trails, there's like the Pacific Crest Trail, there's the Continental Divide, and there's like the Appalachian Trail. Are there rides on the Appalachian or the Pacific?
They
Crest?
just made, I think they like just finished it like this summer.
Creating the route.
Yeah. Eastern Divide route. I haven't like looked into it very much, but I saw a couple snippets.
Let's look it up.
I think they just finished it. I'm sure a race is to come. There's like no doing this kind of thing
That's not how you spell divide, but
no. There's no doing this thing without someone being like, all right, I got the fastest time. And then just like eventually being like, all right, we're going to race it. So,
yeah, let's see.
I know there's like lots of touring routes in California, but none of them are like races.
Introducing the Eastern Divide Trail.
Yeah,
Bikepacking.com.
That one looks pretty cool.
That's major.
And
look at those, like the Smoky Mountains. That
yeah,
looks so
the big
cool.
one with this one is you can start it and follow like the foliage, the changing of leaves going down.
Oh, that's cool. Like every day you wake up with new.
Yeah.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
It definitely is like something I should not look too much into, or else
Wow. So
Fitzgerald
you start
is gonna get real mad at me pretty soon.
They should fucking sponsor you to do it.
I mean, it's funny because like there were a lot of bike shop people there, but it's like they're so like Fitzgerald's, the people like the employees there are so conflicted because they want to like they want to see me do cool things, but they're also like, this is the busiest time of the year. Like June was our biggest month. And I was just like, yeah, I was just not there. So
Yeah.
it is kind of like a little bit guilty, but it's definitely hard to take that kind of time off when you work at a bike shop.
Yeah. Well, what's like a life accomplishment compared to like how many days a week do you work?
5.
5. So
I mean,
what's a life accomplishment to 15 days of work?
What do you mean?
You would have worked like 15 days in the time of
like what would I have achieved in 15
like
days?
15 days of work does not compare to a life achievement.
Oh yeah. No, like totally. And it's worth it. Like I definitely took a hit financially, but like so worth it.
This is interesting. You see this separation? You must take a ferry between here too. These two spots. So you start up in Cape Spear, Newfoundland. And I love how lazy all the pilgrims were with their naming of towns. Newfoundland, newfound land.
That's pretty
like,
awesome.
What are we doing here? And then like New York is just like, there's a town in England called York.
They're like, this one's newer.
But back then, like, it was nothing like York. They're just like, I declare this the new version of that city. And there's New Haven, Connecticut. There's new everywhere.
Right. They were just like, this is just new.
Even over into like, I grew up near a town named New Brighton, and there's a Brighton in England. And like, whenever that town was created in Minnesota, would have to have been like the late 1800s. Like, how lazy.
Yeah.
Come up with any other name. But yeah, so it starts up in Newfoundland, then goes all the way through City, Nova Scotia, through Polnet, Vermont, State College, Pennsylvania, Damascus, Virginia, Mulberry Gap, Georgia, Tallahassee, Florida, all the way down to Key West.
Yeah.
That's major.
I would put money that is a race within the next 3 years.
Yeah. This is cool. 5,500 miles. What was yours? 40 something?
25.
25? So this is longer.
Yeah. They also, now that I'm thinking about it, they do have it's called the Trans American race that goes from Oregon, like the beach in maybe Oregon or Washington, to Virginia Beach. Wow. And that's a race that starts like, I think it was right before we started.
Yeah. You got to kind of do that in the late spring because, you know, like where you were in New Mexico, if you do that in August, like that's 110 degrees out there, right? You can't be doing that. People would die.
Yeah, like even like we hit like the very beginning of monsoon season and we were like, we got to get through this thing because like it was starting to rain pretty hard.
Where?
So there's like a pie town. It's like the middle of New Mexico. The day that leading up to Pie Town, there was like 2.5 inches of rain in like the area leading up to that in one day. And we were in like the worst.
Avalanche Essentials or Staying Alive at Avalanche?
Staying Alive, yeah. I mean, it went way deep into the science, which is like exactly what I wanted to know. But then I'd like kind of watched her like Babe Force podcast thing or whatever like they would do. And and just try to get like general knowledge. And then I think this year maybe if I can muster up the financials, I'll do a class.
Yeah. I would, if you want to read Avalanche Essentials, that's basically the subject matter for Avi 1. And it's all around, like you said, prevention. It's not, okay, your friend's trapped.
Right.
We're gonna teach you to be an expert in rescue.
Yeah.
We did one rescue drill, which was great. It was so good to actually do one.
Yeah.
But it was very simulated. It was in flat ground. It was a backpack.
Yeah.
And I knew where it was. It was just like, right. It's just follow the beacon.
You would think that would be like the biggest thing that they go over too. Like, if you're gonna start doing this, like you should know how to rescue someone. But I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of that. Can they make less rescues needed?
So.
Right? If they can teach you how to not ever need to be rescued, maybe that's better.
Yeah. Seems like the
I don't
whole
know.
sex ed thing. Like, do we just give them a bunch of condoms, or do we teach them about like how this actually works? It's like,
It probably just balances back and forth. Like now it's all prevention, and then like in 5 years they'll be like, we need to, like some activists will be like, we need a change in the criteria. We need to learn how to rescue, and then it'll like shift to that, and then it'll be like, we should take people out of the rescue. Like it'll just go back and forth forever.
Yeah.
So I think the point being that, but they want you to take Avi 2 then.
Yeah, I think that's.
Or they even have a separate class that's like Avalanche Rescue specific.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they want you to take kind of 2 of the 3 of those.
Yeah.
Depending on your interest. Because a lot of what they talk about is like, learn how to read an avalanche forecast every day and do it every day. Even if you're not going out riding, I do that every single day. I look at the avalanche forecast to see where the trends are flowing, what's going on. Because today there could be risk in, I don't know, an east-facing slope.
Right.
And then tomorrow the risk could be a different slope. But it's not like the east-facing slope is that much better a day later. Yeah. Right? So you got to, being in the area to know what's going on with the snow is so valuable. Like I said with the December example, if I just popped into the Tetons in February, I would not really have known that December we had inversions for like 15 days in a row.
Right.
So there's a really weak layer where all those facets and the what's it called?
Surface hoar.
Surface hoar, yeah.
Depth hoar.
That dirty surface hoar.
Yeah.
Where that was forming, and that could be a weak point, and why it was happening, and how deep it would be.
Yeah.
But if I just popped into an area, I would not have any idea that that's there. Yeah, it's like, oh, we just got 10 inches, sweet.
Right.
Oh, but there's what do they call? There's a dragon 40 inches under under the snow. So just being in the area, just understanding it more. Like so 2 winters ago, I got my split board. I started getting around. I'd read the avalanche reports. I'd do the stuff, but I didn't fully know what was going on. Mm-hmm. And there was one specific. I climbed the pyramid. You know what that is? So if you're looking at Phillips Ridge, the end of Phillips Ridge where the trailhead is, from the valley here, even from our house here, to the north, so one to the right, is a peak called the Pyramid, and it's like because it just from that angle it just looks like the side of one of the pyramids. Yeah. Gets up to about maybe 9,800, just under 10,000. But there's a plaque up there because a guy who would do it all the time died in an avalanche there. And I climbed it. I was just like looking at it. Somebody told me like that's a thing. Yeah. Found the skin track. I was literally one day I was checking it out to go see what it would be about. Yeah. And I had a podcast scheduled later that day, and I was like, all right, so I'll just go check it out. I'll come back, and I won't do it today. I'll go back later. I get a text from the chick who I was going to interview. She said, I can't make it today. Like, can we reschedule? I was like, yeah, sure. And I'm like up there, I'm like a couple thousand feet up, and I was like, I'll just finish it. I'll just go do it. I'll just do it. And only because of that scheduling did I do it. And then so I finished it, and it was kind of sketchy on the top. There's a couple spots where it'd been windy, so I wasn't really sticking onto it. Yeah. But I get up there, and it's this awesome peak, awesome climb. Snowboarded down. Dogs were awesome. And I realized, like, as I'm going down, I'm like, this is a slide path.
Yeah. Oh
It's a really wide slide path. It didn't quite, it wasn't the stereotypical look of one where it's like skinny and there's like, what did they say? There's like different ages in trees next to each other is a thing where there'd be like old ones and then really baby ones.
Right.
It wasn't really that, but now if you go to look at it now, it's very obvious from the macro view of like, that's an enormous slide path. And that area is open on the top because it slides.
Yeah.
And even that day was all green lights everywhere, but still just that big of a peak with somebody who knew what he was doing, did die there.
Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the days I feel like I got away with one.
Yeah.
And they even talk about this in the book in Abbey 1. You don't ever want to feel that.
Right.
Like, specifically that feeling of like, wow, glad I got out of there when I did.
Yeah.
You don't want to put yourself in those positions. You want to feel good about the decisions you made and feel good about what you rode.
Right.
So that from that season to this latest season was a major change in mentality for me.
Yeah.
Right. I can go do Edelweiss all day long, do Glory all day long. I did a different section because of parking.
Did you do the pyramid?
I did not do the pyramid this year. I told Tay we should do it, but then we never got around to it.
Yeah.
Like the time when the snow was good or the snow was fresh, the Avadanger was not good.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're not doing that. But I mean, I had just as much fun this year,
right?
Staying within my means and my knowledge, and with I still did my biggest tour. I had 2 pretty big tours for the winter. I did 2 oceans on Togedy Pass. Yeah, you know what that is?
I know where Togedy is, but
yeah. So you probably passed this area on your bike. It's right where the CD trail road sign is, where it tells you the elevation.
Mm-hmm.
Right to your right there's a little meadow and then a peak there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's like the back of a shark, and then there's a shark fin kind of that goes, it's pretty much north to south.
Yeah.
But you kind of walk up the shark's back, and then you go up the fin, and then the top of the fin is the peak, and it gets up to like over 11,000 feet.
Jeez.
Because it's just so high. You start so high up there. And then we just came down. It was just trees skiing, but then there's other sections that are like big, like a wall you'd see like in a Travis Rice movie, but smaller and safer. Like it's like big boulder jumps, big boulder rocks, and kind of that spiny stuff building. That kind of features. It's a really cool looking, good looking face that I would not feel comfortable doing with the dogs, but I would do it on my own, and I would love to do it on my own one day. But then we just did the tree side, which was safe and normal and everything. But that was just big because it got up really high. Mm-hmm. Going above 11,000 feet anywhere is major.
Yeah.
And then one day I toured from the Phillips Bench parking lot, where the snowmobilers park. You go up there, and then there's a ridge there called Reef Ridge that connects up into all the bowls up by Glory Bowl, and then Little Tuckerman's is north of there, and then Unskiable is north of that. And you go, and then there's it's like ridge and then bowl and then ridge and then bowl, kind of like that ridge and then bowl, kind of all the way across that section. Yeah. So you go up one of the ridges, and I got all the way up to the top ridge where you're on kind of parallel with the top of Glory. Yeah. And I snowboarded unskiable. So it's not unsnowboardable bowl. It's only unskiable. Yeah. But that sketch to it too, because it's really steep into a bowl, and I'm going down, and the dogs are with me, and it's a steep ride for the dogs, but they're digging in, they're fine, and they're really good listeners when I don't know if they can tell me being tense. Yeah. So they're like, we got to be sharp, right? Or what? Or they sense it or something. They just know. They're just like, oh shit, Dad, this is like really steep. Yeah. But we're going down, and I'm like, I know this is kind of sketchy. So I jump a couple times, I stop, I jump a couple times, get them above me. And stuff is like kind of cracking. There's some stuff breaking off, and I'm like, fuck. All right. I'm like, all right, boys, we're pointing it. Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, the best thing I can do is I'll be light on the snow. I'll just point it and get out of here. Right. And then I'll make sure that I'm with them if they need me and whatever. So I just point it, get out of there. And unskiable is cool because it's like, you know, the big wall of the bowl is maybe 800 feet of vert. Then you get down into it, and it's kind of flatter, but then it's still a good ride out of it.
Yeah.
It's a long ride, just in this huge bowl with the whole walls around you.
Right.
And it was so much fun to you're just cruising, surfing on the snow, and the dogs are just running behind me. And I would go way faster than them. So I got to where I had to stop, and they're just like sprinting. They're just like tiny specks on this bowl, and I'm just yelling like, "Come on, boys, let's go!" And they're just like running as fast as they can, just loving it.
That's awesome.
And then you just kind of tour around, and then you get back out to your truck. It was a great day.
That's awesome. Yeah, it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah,
get into it.
Yeah, we definitely got to go out. And Haley having a split board means we can go out with Sweet Zuma.
She's a good skier too.
Yeah, she's actually. So I've taken care of Zuma when Haley's gone maybe like 4 times, something like that. But Zuma's always been such a good listener when Haley's not here, not around, because she's like, at first I think it was like, I don't know this place. I better stay with this human. We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Zuma latches on to a person for a little bit amount of time, and it's like, you're my person right now.
Yeah.
Because you're familiar. When Haley's not around, when Haley is around, it's her and Nick. Right. But right now she's on you. She's rubbing up against you. She keeps just glancing up at you like in love. Like, oh my God, I can't believe. She's like, no, keep petting me. You need to keep petting me. She just looks up like, okay, Ryan, you're my person. I know I live with you. She's so happy right now. Yeah. And then what we were saying earlier is like, so now when you leave, she'll be like, wait, he's gone. Wait, where'd he go? Wait a minute. And then even though I'm here and she knows me and she loves me, then like, it'll be like 30 minutes and she'll realize like, oh, Tyler's still here. Yeah. He's my person right now. Oh, Zuma, sweet Zuma. Yeah. It's so funny how Bridger and Zuma are so in love.
Oh my God, it's weird.
Yeah. When I feed them in here. And Bridger is sometimes a bully to Maverick when it comes to food. He'll just like come and just like growl at him and tell him, fuck off, I'm taking this. But with Zuma, they eat together, bowls right next to each other. And Bridger will get done first, and he'll just stand there and just like wait for Zuma and like look around and be like, I got you, girl. Nobody's messing with you.
No one's messing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. That's how I knew actually you and Taylor the first time we met.
Oh yeah.
The dogs came down and you said like Bridger and Mav, and I was like, Bridger and Mav, that's Zuma's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you must be Tay and Ty. Like
it was dark.
Recognized the dogs first, and I was like, oh yeah, I like have to be social and like.
Yeah.
Like, oh, these are the people that I know.
Yeah, you're in the hot springs. It was dark when I got down there because I'd like get the shit. And yeah, so I just like recognized you just said that you're like, what is it? Haley's
she worked
your
with my
aunt.
Aunt
worked with Haley. Yeah, in Colorado. Yeah. And so like, yeah, I'm living with Haley now or whatever. And I was like, oh, cool. And then like I actually saw you a couple days later, and I was like, hey, what's your name? And you're like, we already met. I was like, oh, it was dark. It was totally dark. I never even saw your face.
Yeah. Yeah. That was weird.
Was that the time? It was like December and it was really fucking cold.
It was really, really cold.
And it was shallow. The hot springs were shallow.
Yeah. We sat in the hot springs. We like huddled in the corner because that was like the only hot spot.
Yeah.
For like 2 hours because that was like no one wanted to get out. So cool.
That spot is the coolest when they're deep enough.
Yeah.
It is very uncool when they're not deep enough.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's so cool that it's just natural and everything when like you have it when you get it right and it's deep enough and it's warm enough.
Yeah.
It's like this is the greatest thing ever. Right. We're just sitting here in the natural hot springs on the side of a river with mountains all around us, and there is a highway nearby, but you can't really hear it. Mm-hmm. And everyone's there is super cool, and you can have the dogs because it's far enough away from the road that it's safe.
Yeah.
It's such a cool spot. Yeah. So we're at an hour and 24. Anything else you'd like to talk about with the bike stuff or anything else?
Not really. Not in particular.
No. Yeah. We wrap this up. Yeah. So if anybody in the Jackson or Victor or Idaho Falls area, we'll do a little Fitzgerald's plug here, has any biking needs, mountain biking, road biking, accessories, repair,
Yeah.
hit up Fitzgerald's Bikes. Hit up Ryan. I'll tag him in the post for this stuff, and he can help you out. Ryan, thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You don't really put a lot of effort into Instagram, but tell people your Instagram if they want to follow your biking adventures.
So it's at Ryan Paul Kurtz. That's it. Just
Ryan Paul Kurtz.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So that's an episode. Everyone, thanks for listening. Have a good week.